Huh. Oh. Oh. Ah, that's good.
With UNIT's help, 20 million Zygons have been allowed to take human form,
Ooh.
been dispersed around the world, and are now living amongst us.
Oh.
We're making this in case something goes wrong, in case UNIT is infiltrated, in case something occurs to unmask the Zygons.
Something is going to go wrong.
Any race is capable of the best and the worst. Every race is peaceful and warlike, good and evil. Pray this box is never needed, because if it is, that means the ceasefire is breaking.
Oh boy.
20 million shape-changing Zygons dispersed around the world. That is the nightmare scenario.
I think I'm about to see it. This right here is yet another hybrid, right? Ooh, the score. Yeah. Oh. Okay, sounds about right.
Hello, it's Dr. Disco. I'm in the 21st century. I don't know what month. I'm staking out some of the most dangerous creatures imaginable.
Ah.
Operating under deep cover.
Deep cover.
To attract suspicion. Give me a call, Clara.
I mean, you're looking quite suspicious, my guy. At a playground like this.
Don't off monkey bars. Listen to me, we've got to talk.
Zygons?
Get me, Colonel.
Hey!
The enemies of our race will be destroyed wherever they are in the world. The war is about to begin.
Oh god.
Call me now.
Hey! Aww.
Sandeep, hello. You okay?
I can't find my mummy and daddy.
Oh no!
Well, why don't you wait here and I can go see if I can find them.
Look at these angles, man.
Oh, sorry. Your little boy is out there. He couldn't find you. Is he okay? Everything's fine.
Oh god. Clara, you know something's off.
20 million Zygons, the entire hatchery, were allowed to be born and to stay on Earth. They were permitted to permanently take up the form of the nearest available human beings.
In this case, a large percentage of the population of the UK.
Doctor, do you want to be alone with that thing?
Smart computer. You operated by titivating the fronds.
Are you enjoying that?
Well, we never knew which one was real.
Both of them.
Okay, which one was Zygon?
Both of them. They would have maintained a live link. They were both Zygon and human at the same time.
Hybrid.
The doctor will go to Tomezistan, negotiate peace, rescue Osgood, and prevent this war, because that's what he does. Clara, Jack, you stay here. This is your country. Protect it from the scary monsters, and also from the Zygons.
Fine.
Ah!
No, but I like Ponce de Barton, the big play.
No. Just don't get her killed, Clara. Huh. Is this the same tunnel from that episode? Oh, great shot. Ooh, I love the tones.
Ah, it is.
I'm
I'm the president of the world. I'm here to rescue people and generally establish happiness all over the place. The doctor, Dr. Funkenstein.
Ah!
We know who you are. Confirm strike.
Aww. Mind games.
Any living thing in this world, including my family and friends, could turn into a Zygon and kill me any second now. It's not paranoia when it's real. Okay, listen carefully.
Look at this shot.
Village, we have a 30-minute window before the airstrike.
Okay, doctor, do your thing. Talk. And talk some more. There's just a lot of setup at this point, you know. Definitely a two-parter, that's for sure. I like it.
Johnny, you don't understand.
You're not my mother, don't use my name.
Oh god.
They took us here.
Mom, I'm gonna have to ask you some questions.
Don't do this.
Back up, back up, back up, back up, back up.
Don't let them trick you.
Everyone's families.
Stay back!
It's about to get tricky.
All of you, stay back from them!
That is not your mother. It's an alien hostile.
What proof?
Don't go in there. You're going to your death. Peachly, kill it.
Let's go. Over and out, man.
Oh god. All of them?
Damn it. Damn
Maybe leave a few outside, you know?
They've executed my men.
Where are the Zygons?
They fled through the tunnels. They're going back to the UK. If you're here, they've got you out of the way. Who's left in the UK?
Clara.
Oh, hello. I mean, doesn't it feel sometimes that things are coming to an end? Everything's just going nuts.
You're middle-aged. That's what it is.
Uff.
Depends.
Oh,
Everybody middle-aged always thinks the world's about to come to an end. Never does.
Clara, stop saying things like, oh.
You used to wear question marks.
Oh, I know. Yes, I did.
They were nice. Why don't you wear them anymore?
Oh, I do. I've got question mark underpants.
Makes one wonder what the question is. My sister and I were the living embodiment of the peace we made. I will give all the lives that I have to protect it. You want to know who I am, Doctor? I am the peace. I am human and Zygon.
Hybrid. Right, Doctor?
Like a hybrid.
Yeah. It's just building and building. It's just, I don't know. I feel like it's missing something. It's not quite
Oh my god. These are Zygon pods.
lovely. That's good prosthetics.
What's your name?
You are the president of the world.
I suppose so.
We want the world.
We have to neutralize these before they hatch. Take the positions.
Oh god.
Do you know what? I'm enjoying this.
Clara,
What?
we don't know that's what these are.
Ooh.
Oh my god, that's me. Look, they're here. They're growing duplicates of us. We have to destroy them.
But I don't see how these are duplicates. That's not how Zygons work. They don't grow duplicates. They kidnapped the original.
Oh,
So
God.
These.
Are the originals. Oh god.
This is a trap. This is an ambush.
Yeah, I was gonna say all of them ended up in here. A lot of them.
Please.
Kill the traitors.
Oh my god. It's kind of hot, not gonna lie. Ah, the switch happened there.
Hello, Clara.
Ah, that was Clara's
My
body.
name is Bonnie.
We want the truth of who we are to be acknowledged. We want to live as ourselves at any cost.
I mean, understandable.
Well, you can't have the United Kingdom. There's already people living there. They'll think you're going to pinch their benefits.
We're already there, Doctor.
And then word went round these primitives that we were monsters.
Oh god.
There isn't any backup, is there? I just had to be sure.
Oh god. I was gonna say, how come Kate's here just by herself? Next up. It's a great shot.
There you are.
Clara, I'm glad you're okay. Listen,
You're
Ooh.
breaking up.
the invasion has happened. Your
Oh my
brothers are
God.
Zygons. Get to the TARDIS. Get yourself safe.
But Clara's dead.
Kate Stewart is dead. The unit troops are all dead. Truth or consequences?
Off screen, yeah, they didn't show it. Okay, episode 7, and as expected, part 1 of 2. Yeah, in comparison to many of the past two-parters, and actually, yeah, I think everything in this series so far has been two-parters. I guess that's a thing. Is that a thing this series? Maybe even beyond this two-parter, it might actually go on. I mean, it can't, right? Because it's odd. Because it doesn't end on episode 12 or 14. I believe there's 13 episodes. So at least one episode's going to have to be a standalone. But, speaking of standalone, see, this is the first time in a long time, I'd say, that the first episode of a two-parter just truly feels like major setup. A lot of setup. I mean, in my opinion, this truly felt like it hinges on a potential strong conclusion. It's dependent on a strong conclusion in part 2. I feel like I can't really even judge this episode until I've seen part 2, right? As I mentioned during the episode, it just felt like it's setting up and then setting up some more. I don't know. To me, it just kind of felt like, I don't know. It was missing something. It was. So, of course, in that sense, as a whole, yeah, it kind of did it fall flat. It didn't really quite do it for me. I'll be honest about that. I mean, it's got a lot of things going on, of course. Listen, of course, there's some likable stuff going on as well. Some things I certainly liked. Some interesting ideas in the subject matter that's kind of covered. Topical for that time and actually still kind of applicable. But then also sometimes it was beginning to feel like it was a little too on the nose as well, right? The commentary on some of the real life issues. I mean, it certainly directly comments on contemporary issues, right? But that also kind of has me thinking about classic Doctor Who, right? They must have, taken a stab at some of these issues at the time of that time era, right? Topical issues, hot button issues, perhaps. And kind of integrate that into the narrative of Doctor Who's story, right? Maybe that's something I can look into, or maybe that's the type of thing you guys can comment about in the comment section, right? Because again, I don't really have plans of checking out classic Who, so maybe you guys can tell me about some of the specific episodes that might have commented on issues, real life issues. It's always a pleasure to read the comments because, I'm always going to maintain that, you guys, the Doctor Who fan base, fellow Doctor Who fan base, fellow Whovians, I'm proud to say that. I mean, I am quite proud to call myself a Whovian as well at this point. I've always felt that you guys are essentially some of the most knowledgeable fan base out there, like altogether. And this is from my experience over the last 5-6 years at this point. Doing Doctor Who. But yeah, a lot of parallels being drawn here. Listen, it's one of those things that's not really everyone's cup of tea because not everyone's a fan of politics kind of leaking into their stories, right? Their shows. I believe it all kind of comes down to how it's handled, right? Does it feel preachy? Does it feel like it's shoehorned in, right? Does it feel really out of place? Too on the nose, or does it feel natural and really embedded into the story itself, right? Rather than sticking out like a sore thumb. I'll be honest, at some points, it was kind of beginning to feel like it is kind of sticking out like a sore thumb. But then at other points, it was really quite functional. I felt that a lot of times, I felt that in a lot of moments, it's really quite relatable as well, right? Understandable from the Zygon perspective, right? Because of course, there's the immigration analogy, the refugee analogy, that idea of paranoia, fear, panic, right? The fear of being judged as different from the ones around you, right? And I suppose it's kind of commenting on both sides of it, right? You'll have lines of dialogue Really cheeky lines like, they're afraid you'll pinch their benefits. You'll have Capaldi's doctor saying something like that, right? So, it's certainly quite topical, but like I alluded to earlier, yeah, some of the things that the Zygons must be feeling, it's kind of understandable, isn't it? Right? Some of their goals. They demand the right to live openly, to not have to deny their own identities, right? Sure, there's a bit of global domination sprinkled in, sure. But even so, some elements of that are understandable. But yeah, the return of the Zygons, after a bit of a cameo appearance in The Day of the Doctor. And of course, that's a lovely moment in the opening to see those faces again, right? It's just great. And then, of course, Osgood comes back in as well. And then there's the Osgood box as well, right? That's a bit of a mystery still. The thing is, this first part of a two-parter, it's one of those blockbuster international thrillers, right? And I'm used to seeing those as finales, right? The second last episode, the penultimate episode, and a finale, right? So it is a little bit jarring to kind of have this type of story in the middle of a series. But yeah, of course, location shoots, given the scale of this episode, right? It really kind of gets to flex a bit of that budget, for sure, right? A lot of extras. You see that the Doctor is on the sidelines for a lot of it. He's having a lot of fun. Capaldi gets to have a lot of fun in this one. He gets to be really quite goofy, right? Dr. Disco, Dr. Funkenstein. But yeah, for a lot of moments, a lot of big moments, he'll be on the sidelines, just kind of observing, not doing much. A lot of this episode is about how regular humans are going to deal with the Zygon problem or conundrum in this case. They're part of UNIT, not civilians, but again, humans nonetheless. Of course, one of the standout scenes is at the church, right? Equal parts, kind of nonsensical and equal part, really, really quite human, right? Even though there's a lot of shapeshifters, the humanity is center stage in that scene, right? Because listen, even if you know that, okay, that's a shapeshifter, that's not my mother, that's not my father, right? Just the idea, the uncanny nature of them still looking just like your parent, standing in front of you, sounding like them, pleading. There is something gutting almost about having to shoot someone, right? They've shown us that it's quite the struggle, right? The drone strike, she could not do it because, of course, on the fly, those Zygons kind of mimic her husband and child. She couldn't do it. So it's really quite effective. The mind games, right? And then, of course, the church setup, all of them just get absolutely decimated because they bought into it. They all go in. And, of course, that's the nonsensical element of it, right? It's just a little bit silly that they all just fell for it. And they all just go in and no one's left behind. But of course, the main twist, Bonnie, is it? Yeah, I believe Bonnie is the name of evil Clara. And I've got to say, Jenna Coleman rocks it. She sells it. It's so believable, isn't it? My God, she's a natural, isn't she? I was really quite enjoying her in that capacity, in that role. The moment you see that expression on Clara's face or Bonnie's face, my God, it hit me. I'm like, oh, that's good. That's good. Now, of course, in hindsight, it's pretty clear, of course. Of course, they switched her in that room. But that being said, I did say, Clara, come on, something's off about that, right? But then beyond that, I just kind of chalked it up as, okay, she just kind of felt, okay, the parents are there now, they've got the kid, so it's good enough. Maybe she felt the need to get back to the doctor. So, I didn't think much of it beyond that, right? But yeah, in hindsight, yeah, of course, Clara's not going to leave that child in that manner. Like, she just walks out. And of course, at that point, she does up her ponytail, sorry. She ties up her hair, right? And it's crazy how just doing that, it actually does kind of transform her, doesn't it? Right? And of course, there's this really striking expression on her face as well. especially once it is revealed that indeed she is a Zygon. I just felt that she really sold it. It truly felt like she's another person. And of course, there's the cliffhanger trying to shoot the doctor out of the sky. But of course, all of us know it's not going to go down like that. The doctor's going to get out of it somehow. And, it's more so about kind of finding out how exactly is he going to get out of it rather than, is he alive or dead? But also, I've got to say, Murray Gold is at it again. Really, really fantastic score for this episode, right? Really quite engaging, really quite fitting. But yeah, I think that should do it for this one, folks. I'll be interested in seeing how others saw this episode. It's always interesting to see the different perspectives. But yeah, for me, it didn't quite land. I really do feel that this entirely hinges on part 2. It just simply did not have a lot of those elements that do make other two-parters or part 1s of two-parters a great standalone episode as well, in addition to being a setup episode. Just recently, right? If you look at Under the Lake, even though it's part 1, that episode in itself, it's a strong standalone episode, right? And then of course it has great elements setting up part 2, right? And then of course even the girl who died, I think it functions as a standalone episode as well, even though there is an immediate follow-up. I just felt that this episode I think it was at the midpoint, and there I kind of felt like, okay, I'm finding it difficult to engage and really get into the episode. So for me, it's a bit of a letdown. And for me, it's more so a collection of good moments, some great moments, some fun moments, rather than a great episode altogether. Again, that's my opinion. And that's the whole point of this, to give you my honest take. So, there is a possibility that retroactively, this could kind of go up a few notches, perhaps. But yeah, if you enjoyed that, consider dropping a like, consider dropping some comments, give me your thoughts, please do. If you're interested in timer-based full length or early access to the next few episodes right now, consider checking out the Patreon page. The links are in the description and the pinned comment, also links to social media, if that's your thing. Okay, so thank you so much for joining me, folks, and thank you for your time, because time is precious. It really is. And I do hope to see you again soon for part 2, episode 8. Until then, take it easy.